Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, but only one you. You are the inspired and the inspiration, and this is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. I am your co-host, Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, coming to you live from Seattle, Washington. And if you're just starting out your day or winding down into your evening, we want to thank all of our inspired listeners for always listening in every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. If you do miss this live broadcast today, and it's going to be a great show, you can catch Inspired Living over on a few of the podcast channels, which is Podbean, SoundCloud, and iTunes. My co-host today, Kim Thalken, as always, founder of Love First in the beautiful Encino but yet dry California, and a fabulous team member to the show, is also calling in. Kim, are you on the line?
I am here with all smiles, Mark. Thank you for the nice welcome and introduction, and welcome to the show, inspired listeners. Once again, what a beautiful day. We're excited about the upcoming show we have for you and our special guest. We've had a lot of questions coming in again for our guests, so they're excited too, and it's great to be here. Wherever you're listening to us from today, thank you for joining us. We want to remind our inspired listeners what the August inspired affirmation is, and that is, I am powerful, loving, and a creative being. So don't forget to practice your affirmations, and when you do it, say it with meaning and watch how your life begins to change. And if there is an example of how that has affected your life, let us know. We love to hear beautiful success stories, and we'll bring it live to air. I also want to give a shout out to one of our inspired listeners, Tiffany Sunby. Thank you so much for listening to us, for participating in the show. We're glad to have you here. We are so happy to hear how you have enjoyed us these last few weeks, and thank you again.
Yes, thank you, Tiffany, for listening in, and we love for our inspired listeners to interact with the show. You can go right now. We already have a lot of questions on our Facebook page. I think we have about 8 questions, Kim, for our guest today. Facebook is Inspired Living Radio, which is our Facebook open to the public, and then you can also interact with us over on Twitter, which is Inspired for Us, and ask your questions there. Now, in the coming months, we will have open phone lines coming to the show. Right now, that's in development. So right now, we're just interacting through our Facebook and Twitter page, along with our Google Plus communities and Instagram. So if you'd like to follow us or interact with us, head on over there right now. So without further ado, we have a very special guest coming all the way from Victoria, Canada. I've been up to Victoria. It's a beautiful area. They have a really nice garden up in Victoria. And Diana Lynn is a evidential psychic medium. She's a spiritual messenger and animal communicator. And I know that a lot of our questions today have already been asked about animals. People love animals. I love animals, and animals are awesome. Diana Lynn strives to create a safe, loving environment for closure and healing to take place. The communication process of being a psychic medium is to bridge the gap between the two worlds that allow us to connect with our loved ones who have crossed over in helping to bring closure and resolve unsaid issues and allow us to heal. I know for myself, Kim, you as well, a lot of the work that we do as spiritual light workers is to bring healing to those that we're working with. She is Diana Lynn is an animal involved in animal rescue, specifically wildlife rehabilitation, and often gets messages from deceased pets that will come through in a reading. So without further ado, Diana Lynn, welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim.
Welcome.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
It's our pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
I'm excited.
So you've been busy I just posted on our Facebook page for those that are listening live right now, your YouTube video of how you work with spirit. This is an actual, what we call demo platform reading. And so if folks want to go over there right now to Inspired Living Radio, you can check out Diana Lynn on how she works with spirits. A great video. And you have a couple events that are coming up as well here next month. If you can believe it's going to be September already.
I know, yeah. And I made the videos because I was getting a lot of questions. How does it work? How do you do it? What happens? So I thought, making a video was a really good tool so that people could see that and understand a little bit of the process. So if they weren't able to come to the event that I had in April, at least they could see what the process of mediumship looks like for me. And I know, there's so many mediums. We all work so differently, but the message is the same. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice to have that video just to show people exactly how I work and how the connection is for me. And yes, I'm going to be doing another one in September in Victoria. Working on actually going to be doing one with a coworker in Vancouver very soon. We haven't announced it yet, but we're going to be doing that. That's going to be in October, as well as I have the animal communication workshop here in September in Victoria, and I'm also doing the animal communication workshop in Squamish, just outside of Vancouver, and that will be in October as well. So lots of things happening.
And for our inspired listeners listening in the 154 different countries around the world, that location would be on the West Coast, up by the Pacific Northwest, northern Canada. So this is all taking place on the West Coast, in case you're in the area. So Diana Lynn, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to have a break coming up here shortly, but we want to get into knowing more about you, the work you do. You're right. We all, as spiritual mediums, as psychic mediums, we all come with different skill sets. And like I said at the beginning of the show, there's 7.3 billion people on this planet, but there's only one you. So tell the listening audience more about the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. So for me, being a medium is, and the reason why I have a tagline on my website called The Medium with Instincts is because this is a natural thing for me, and it's been happening ever since I was a little girl. So my first memory was I was 3 years old, and I was able to see spirit at that point. So, as a young girl, you push it aside, don't understand what it is. And then as I got older, and I had a few mentors, which I'm very blessed, to help me along with the process, I was able to receive more information, receive more validation, give that to people, and really trust the connection with spirit that I had. It was a long process, but now in my 40s, I'm able to own that and really say, I'm a medium, and this is what I was put here to do. So for me, it's really my soul calling. And the other reason why I do soul to soul readings is to be able to help people understand what makes their soul happy, because now I know what makes mine happy. So I want to spread that with people. And animal communication, I have had animals all my life, worked very closely with rescues, as you said, Mark, and wildlife rehabilitation. And it's a natural process for me to work with animals. I was a surgery nurse in an animal hospital at one point, and that was really when the animal communication started for me too. So I will 9 times out of 10, there will be an animal that comes through if you've had one when we do a mediumship session. And connecting with animals is actually so much easier because they're so pure and so loving, and they want to be there to support you and help you and guide you just like your loved ones do.
Diana, wow, where do we start from that? You've got, I mean, you're doing just such great work across the board there with just humanity, but also with the animal kingdom. And they're such an important part of, of life here on earth. And we need to love and respect our animals. So thank you for bringing that topic to light here. I want to ask you quickly, and we're going to be heading into break in a couple of minutes, but you mentioned something in regard to seeing spirit at a young age. Do you still see spirit? And because not everybody does, even if you're a medium, you may not physically see them. I know I don't. But was that a scary experience for you as a little girl?
Yeah. So what happened was, as a little girl, actually, I wasn't really scared. I kind of understood. It was sort of just something that happened with me. And I think it was as I got older and more into my teens where I went, this is not something I want to be doing. And so I shut it down. I did shut it down for quite a few years. And it was when I fully decided and said to Spirit, okay, I get you. I'm ready to do this. This is what I meant to do. I asked again for that from Spirit. I said, okay, I'm ready to see again. So they shut it down for me because I asked. And by asking again to have that sense open, I'm now able again to see Spirit like I did when I was a little girl.
Very interesting. And it's nice to know how we're in control of how we want to lead and live our life. So when you decided that wasn't right for you at that point in time on your path, then Spirit honored that. And I think that's a beautiful, just kind of important note to share with the audience. We're going to be heading into break now, so stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes with the lovely Diana Lynn.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, sea-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business. And share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
Welcome to The Gathering Around My Kitchen Table on Equilarium FM, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join my guests as we integrate spirituality into everyday reality with vibrant conversations, inspired interviews, and my latest channeled guidance to inspire and brighten your day. I'm Claire Johnson, and together we'll be raising vibrations across the nations.
a conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
And welcome back, inspired listeners, to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim, and our special guest today, Diana Lynn, psychic medium and animal communicator, calling in today from Canada. Diana, welcome back to the show, and all of our listeners as well. We had spent a little bit of time talking about the beautiful work that you're doing with wildlife rehabilitation and also animal communication. And while we have a lot of questions that have come in from our listeners, I thought it would be an interesting topic for us to talk about, since it's so it's a current event of kind of what's happened recently that got worldwide attention in the press, and that is what happened with the lion Cecil in Africa, who was recently hunted down by a trophy hunter. And I thought it would be a really interesting experience for us to hear from Diana Lynn, kind of give us some information on a spiritual level about Cecil's background, perhaps maybe what his thoughts are or feelings or emotions around the incident that happened, or any messages that he wants to share with us.
Thank you, Kim. I feel like this is a huge honor, and that's how I feel Cecil's presence, as just this huge honor and this huge ambassador for all of the animals on the planet. Not just the lions, but he just. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm getting goosebumps now. I can feel the connection with him, and like I said, he is just amazing. He should have been 5,000 pounds. That's how he feels to me. Mm-hmm. And what I'm getting with him is, yes, that he, I have to backtrack here for 1 second and give you a little bit of an understanding on how animals, when they come to me, they don't look at death as dying. They don't, there's nothing about death for them that is final. So for me to connect with Cecil, he is coming through as saying, yes, there's a reason for everything. And what I'm getting from him is that was his honor. That was his honor for this terrible tragedy. And the terrible tragedy is us humans. So he doesn't see it that way. He's seeing it as an honor, is what I'm getting from him. And why this is an honor for him was to bring the awareness. So, he just is saying that now is the time. And the reason why this had to happen now was because our planet needs the animals that are on it. So he's speaking of all the animals. He's not just speaking of the lions. He's not just speaking of Africa. He's not just speaking of trophy hunting. For him, trophy hunting, that's another topic, right? Mm-hmm. For him, it's the honor of bringing through the message, the important message of we need our animals on this planet. We can't just keep building and moving them out of their territory and pushing them away. And we need to have more of a consciousness about the animals on our planet and how much they contribute to the world. And it's big. This is a bigger level, right? Than really what we can comprehend.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fantastic message, Diana. What I also find interesting with this tragedy is how people have gotten on board through social media. I like to say that the internet is our conscious nervous system. It connects all of us together to be able to share these messages and see how like-minded we really are and how connected we really are. And from this tragedy, to see a lot of the airlines are no longer allowing any kind of hunted animals that are being hunted for trophies to be allowed to be put on the plane and shipped back. So it's that kind of ripple effect in the paradigm shift that takes place. place where people aren't putting up with senseless killing of animals, especially our animals that are very empathic to us, love us unconditionally, don't judge us. And so I find that bigger ripple effect to what Cecil, as an ambassador, as an icon, stands for. So that's a beautiful message.
I'd like to add to that too. I feel his magnificence, his energy, his magnificence. And one of the things that I find exceptionally inspiring about kind of this ripple effect is really the outpouring of love that you see for animals following this event. You really see all across the world this outpouring of love, and it's just nice to have that reaffirmed when sometimes we question that about humanity. But there's good out there, mm-hmm. and people do love and respect them, and it's nice that this particular event was able to heighten that awareness and bring us all together.
And we were talking, Diana Lynn, before the show, that I may jump in here and actually give an added message to that. And I'm not an animal communicator, but I'm feeling compelled to deliver what Spirit is telling me. And what I'm seeing is it's very in like what if you know the Chronicles of Narnia, the books by C.S. Lewis that talks about Aslan the lion, and how he was killed but came back in such a bigger way that impacted all of the books throughout the series. I'm feeling that energy of Cecil, and that's exactly what he did. It was an honor to be able to bring a conscious thought to the animals and to have this ripple effect that's taking place. So Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia is coming up as very similar to what this event ended up being. So there you go. I'm adding as an animal communicator. I'm getting better and better.
Yay, Mark!
All kinds of things happen on our show, huh?
That's right. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit, and let's talk. We want to get to our first few questions. Being that we're talking about animals and what's currently happening in the world, there's a question from one of our inspired listeners, Diana Lynn, that asks, in your experience with communicating with animals, do they appear to have a higher consciousness than they appear in life? And are they aware of the difficulties in our lives while they're sharing their lives with us? And do they offer insight, advice, et cetera, et cetera?
Ooh, okay. Well, I believe this question here, we just talked about the consciousness of Cecil, right? So, yes, I believe that all animals not necessarily have a higher consciousness. I believe from the information that they've come through to me with is that they're here for us. So it's not often that we as humans come into people's lives for one another. We kind of have to learn that, whereas animals, they already know that. So they're coming into our lives when we need them. They're coming into our lives to help us deal with different things, whether that be emotional, physical, you name it. I mean, look at the guide dogs that we have. We have dogs now that help people with epilepsy. We have all of these animals that are helping us as humans live a more fulfilled life. And I believe that that's their purpose.
Yeah, along with the animals that are in service, the rescue animals, being in my past life, being a firefighter EMT, we had the experience of working with rescue dogs. And what you see is these dogs go out and, like during 9/11 and some of these major tragedies and earthquakes around the world, and in Nepal and Peru, and they would go out and they would find people that are trapped. But what you didn't see is after that the dogs would actually get very depressed, especially if they found somebody that had transitioned into spirit and was not of this world any longer. You didn't see the stories that talked about the empathy that they showed and the actual depression that they would go into from doing all these, search and rescues.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that there's a video now going around that I saw. It was just a very small clip of, I believe it was a Rottweiler, and he was lying next to his brother Rottweiler, who had passed away during the evening. And the Rottweiler just did not want to leave the body. And they have those connections. Like, we don't really realize the deep love and connection that our animals have with us. Even, and I'm not just talking our pets, you know, I mean, you could look at your little hamster and go, oh, well, I don't know what he's here for. But you really have to sit back and look and go, you know what is this little creature here for me? You know, I talk to him. Maybe that for a young child is the only way that they can get expression out. Maybe that's the only thing that they can talk to, and they can't talk to anybody else. So isn't that a wonderful thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. So to add to that, another question that we had from another one of our inspired listeners out there, she had asked, when pets cross over, when they do, are they met by other animals, their loved ones, part of their, their family, their kin, and do they carry the same type of love bond as humans do, even though, most are separated from their family shortly after birth?
Okay, so I'm trying not to make this one a long answer because I can feel that it could be. I'm under the understanding that we're all energy, right? So little bits and pieces of our energy can be in one place, can be in another place, and we can touch the humans that we've been with, we can touch the animals that we've been with. So I firmly believe that from what I've received from animals in spirit is that they're connected to all of their past family, if you want to call it that, as animals, as well as connected to the human families that they have. So yes, I do believe that they're all connected. And are they met by their animal loved ones? Okay, I believe that yes, they all have that energy. They're all connected. And really, it comes down to we're all connected, aren't we?
Very much so. So there's a lot of truth, and all dogs do go to heaven.
Absolutely.
So we're going to be heading into a break here, and when we come back, we may shift a little bit of gear, talking about spirit and those on the other side of spirit. Thank you to our inspired listeners for the questions. This is Inspired Living on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness. We'll be back in 2.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue-collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back, inspired listeners, to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. I'm Kim Falcon, and we have our special guest, Diana Lynn, joining us today as we talk about animals and the beauty that they really add to our lives and the importance of them, and also how they communicate with us and some of their important messages to us. So along those lines, Diana, we've got a question that's come in from Vivian. So Vivian, thank you for being a part of our inspired community. She's got a question about a dog that she had for a week, and then it got killed by a car. And every time she says she gets a reading from a psychic, this dog shows up. The dog's name is Lord Thor, and she would like to know if Lord Thor, that's a fun name, has anything to say to her.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so thank you, Vivian, for the question. I am just focusing right now on his name, and I just have to giggle a little bit because, the dog feels like he's little. He feels like he's a little dog with a big name, right? So anyways, he has a bit of a spunk around him. I am getting the message from him right now that this dog feels like a rescue dog, and he was in your life to inspire you to keep rescuing dogs. So that's his message to you. So he keeps coming up in your readings with other people because he keeps wanting to remind you of this. So please keep up the good work.
Diana, I just want to confirm something for you as you do this. It was a blind reading. You don't know Vivian. I do. Oh. And very interesting message because she has rescued, I believe all 3 of her dogs are rescues.
Yay!
I believe that. So what a beautiful thing that this dog, Lord Thor, just came through and delivered and confirmed exactly what it is that she's gone on to do. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Yes, we always like to say thank you to Spirit as well. As mediums, it's very important that we thank them for trusting us to come through and give that message. That's a beautiful message, Diana Lynn.
Absolutely.
So if you can believe it, we're already halfway through the show. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. And so let's shift to from the 4-legged animals to the 2-legged animals, us as humans. We have a few questions that we do want to get to that talks about spirit and those that we have lost that are on the other side but are always around us. Now, Diana Lynn, if folks are interested in working with you and having a reading, where can they locate you?
Oh, absolutely. So I have my practice here is in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and obviously I would welcome anybody to come here because it's so beautiful.
It is.
But if you can't, that's fine. I'm able to do Skype and phone readings as well. And you can go to my website at www.diana, so that's DIANA, Lynn, LYNN.com, and there you'll be able to read some more information about me and the types of readings that I do and all the good stuff. You can book an appointment on there, and I would be happy to give you a reading.
And they can just do a Google search as well on your name, and you'll pop up on the internet searches?
Absolutely, yes.
Perfect.
So, and I have, Facebook, I'm on there too, and Twitter, all those things. So I think I'm easy to find.
Okay, and for our inspired listeners, we have posted a lot of Diana Lynn's information out there, a YouTube video. She has some cards that she recently released as far as spirit cards. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Now, on your website, it says that you give soul-to-soul readings, and one of the questions from our inspired listener out there, they must have gone to your site and checked you out because they said, what is the true benefit of a soul-to-soul reading?
Okay. So, the things that I do, they all are connected, right? So when I'm giving a mediumship reading, I get information from spirit. So spirit for mediumship reading is normally their loved ones who have passed, right? So I give validation of who we have. We talk about memories, things that the person that is having the session will understand. with a soul-to-soul reading, the information is still coming from spirit, but it could be coming from not only their loved ones, but it could be coming from their spirit guides, my spirit guides, could be coming from angels, all that we connect to with spirit. So the reason for a soul-to-soul reading is nowadays we're so busy. We just keep going and going and going, and we totally forget what makes us happy. So what's my purpose? People always ask. There has to be more to this than just getting up every morning and going to work and coming home and crashing. So,
very much so.
Those soul-to-soul readings are for people who are just wanting more happiness in their life. They want to slow down a little bit and find out what their purpose is here. So I won't, I'm not going to sit down and go, okay, you need to be a whatever. But we're going to work with that. We're going to work with finding out what makes you happy. And with input from spirit, they're going to help us to get back to what's in our soul.
So would it be fair to say that you're a spiritual life coach in a sense?
Ooh, yeah. Well, not me. But
well, the messenger
spirit for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Spirit loves to do that. They love to be able to shift us and guide us into the right direction. But what they will not do is give us the answer.
Sure. Now, we talked about signs, and they'll give us the signs if we're, aware and awakening to all these different signs. And you have some spirit cards that you had been working on for some time now, and they're actually out for sale out on Amazon. And let's talk about your spirit cards real quick as far as signs from our loved ones.
Absolutely. So these are cards that actually they all just came from spirit. I woke up one morning and went, okay, I'm doing cards today, and sat down, and spirit guided me through all of these different signs that our loved ones show us when they're around us. So they could be anything from, our loved ones coming to us in dreams, physically seeing orbs. We could, when we sit and we might have a daydream of one of our loved ones, we might all of a sudden taste something that reminds us of a loved one. The flicker of a candle might be, your loved one trying to get your attention. You overhear people talking about something, and all of a sudden you hear a name of your loved one. So the biggest thing with signs that we get from our loved ones that I want to say to everyone is when you feel like you're getting a sign. So let's say, for example, you're out and about and a butterfly comes flying right in front of your face, and you think in your mind, I wonder if that's a sign from Mom. Yes. So that's the big message. Yes, yes, yes. As soon as you have that thought, that's the sign. That's what I want to get across, is that as soon as you think of your loved one, that's the sign, no matter what it is.
Yeah, and it's very subtle, isn't it? It's just that quick thought that comes into your mind, or we call your third eye chakra, your third eye right between your eyebrows. And when that thought pops in, that's exactly how they work. That's that thought, that energy that they're around us all the time. And I wanted to add to that, Diana Lynn, because this weekend we had a big celebration for our family member, and throughout the whole weekend, it almost becomes comical when you're open and aware to it. You really just start to laugh, because it's my father-in-law who had passed from multiple sclerosis at a young age, and throughout the whole weekend, his song. So the song was very, very iconic. It was Green Day's "I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life" song.
Absolutely.
And everywhere that we would go, from the hotel to the rental car, I jumped into the rental car and I turned the key on. The first song that comes on in the rental car is Green Day's "I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life," and it just gives you goosebumps. It's just because that thought is related to my father-in-law, and we just now say, hello. Thanks for joining us, being a part of this celebration of life. And then again, throughout the weekend, where other people actually start to notice the song, or certain animals, or like you said, a butterfly, and it just really becomes comical when you're really open and aware to it.
Absolutely. And there's so many. I've made 33 cards, but I bet, everybody has their own little sign, and it could be anything. It could be an ant that, not your aunt, I'm sorry, but a little
like
ant.
A little ant.
Yeah, that walks across the driveway, right? It can be anything. So I just would like to, and I'm going to use your word again, I would like to just inspire people to have an open mind about the signs that are there, and just watch for them. And you can ask for them. Ask for a sign.
Exactly. I always, with my clients and people that I'm mentoring, I always say, did you ask the right question? Did you ask the specific question? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, no, I didn't.
Right.
I'm like, just ask, and they'll give you the message that you're looking for if you're just open and aware to it. Looking at your cards on Amazon, again, if you go to Inspired Living Radio, we've posted the links for Diana Lynn, her videos on YouTube, the cards that are out there on Amazon for sale. They're beautiful cards, and when I was researching the cards, Diana Lynn, that card actually came up that talked about the songs and the music, and just beautiful set of cards, and I'd love to have people get those cards to use them. And you can even just pick a card once a day and say, what spirit that you'd like to connect with on the other side, and just be open to those signs.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think what's so great about that is that, our listeners can begin to develop these relationships with loved ones on their own. It doesn't have to be through a third party like a medium. So what a beautiful experience that would be to do that. Mm-hmm.
And Kim, that's a great point. I always tell people too, you don't need to go to a psychic medium to have these experiences. Everybody has these abilities and gifts within them if they just search it out and explore that and are open to the energy and to what spirit would offer us. So now we do have another question. We're going to be going to break here very shortly. But the question for you, Diana Lynn, is how do our loved ones in spirit interact with us in the physical world? So we talked about songs, we talked about animals. Is there any other specific ways that you can think of or would share with the audience for them to look out for?
Oh, well, I agree with both of you that you don't need a medium to make that connection with your loved ones. So what I find is a really good exercise for people to do is automatic writing. So if there's something that you're working on, you're trying to make a decision, that kind of thing, and you want your help from your loved ones, write it down. Just write, and they will come through in that writing.
Beautiful. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. This is Inspired Living with Mark and Kim on OMTimes Radio, the voice of consciousness.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Dr. Kevin here. And I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
And welcome back, inspired listeners, to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. As you know, we've got the lovely Diana Lynn, who's joined us here in this hour that seems to be going by so fast as we talk about so many different fascinating topics and Diana Lynn's experiences in these areas. When we went to break, Diana, you were talking about the importance of automatic writing. I highly recommend that too for our listeners. It's a fairly simple process, and you'd be amazed at what could come through simply by asking a question, waiting for the inspiration to come through, and writing down what it is you get. We've got so many questions that have been sent through. I want to make sure that we get through some of them. Some of our listeners wanting to connect through to their loved ones. So in the interest of time, I'm going to move right into our questions. And we've got one from Tiffany. We've got two from Tiffany. And she says that her mom, Pat, passed away 5 years ago. And she says it was the hardest time in her life. So as we talk about healing, that is the beautiful thing that readings like this can offer. And she'd like to know if there is a message that's coming through to her from her mom, Pat.
Okay. First off, I just want to say that thank you, Tiffany, for your question. And the first thing that I'm seeing is a hummingbird. So your mom is coming to you in this form. So watch for the hummingbird. And she's also saying, okay, I'm going to try to get, it's so hard to put all this in a small little package. But what your mom is saying here is she just wants you really to know that she's not in any pain anymore. So this is the healing that is coming through for you, Tiffany. Please know that pain that she went through is now gone. So please don't think of that any longer. And she's also saying, I know it looked like it was rough, but please know that that's all okay now. So that's her biggest message for her daughter.
And that's beautiful. So, Tiffany, thank you again for your question. Now, you had another one. we're gonna go into this question because it looks like he stepped to the front of the line wanting to jump in with a message. But this is from her boyfriend, whose father passed, Hank, 2 days ago, and it looks like he's anxious to come through with a message. So, Diana. Go ahead.
Yes, so absolutely. So what happens here is I get the question, and immediately Hank stepped forward. So he must have been a character here in life because he's big and bold, like he's coming through really strong. So he wants you to know at the service that somebody's going to trip, and it's going to be funny. And this was his sense of humor. So that's how he wants you guys to know that he's around, because this person is going to trip. And he thinks it's just the funniest thing on earth.
Ooh, now that's a good one to keep an eye out on, because his service is coming up on Sunday and Monday. So
yes.
Next week, Tiffany, follow up with us and let us know how that goes, and you'll be able to have a nice smile.
I'd like to just come in here really, really quickly and say this, because she mentioned that Hank passed 2 days ago, and I get this question a lot about, do I have to wait a certain amount of time before I can connect with my loved ones on the other side? That's a huge question that comes to me all the time. So really quickly, I just want to address that. And, for me, it doesn't matter. It can be a day. I've done readings within 24 hours. It is more about the person here, are they able to receive the information from their loved ones in 24 hours? Should they wait 2 weeks? Should they wait a month? It's all up to us here whether or not we're ready to hear the information from our loved ones. Our loved ones are there immediately. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
And Diana Lynn, that's a great point. Just to add to everything that you're saying, because again, I always teach that we're the only species on Earth that measures our lives by time. So time really is, you're exactly right. It's up to us. There is no set time on when we need to connect with our loved ones. And I wanted to touch base for the message that you gave for Tiffany, because I too was also picking up on the hummingbird, which is interesting as we linked up. But I also wanted to let her know that the hummingbird is also a representation of joy, music, and love. And it's to have the joyful heart, and it's all about dancing of joy and delight, and to love and appreciate everything that is around you that is beautiful. So again, it was interesting that the hummingbird, because as soon as you started talking, I started seeing hummingbird as well. So we were linking up through Skype. I love it. Okay, so. Geez, yeah, where's the time going? We're almost out of time here. We only have a few minutes left on the show. Kim, did you have any other questions from our inspired listeners?
I do. There are a couple here. I just want to add to that too. I just want to add to that too. Is I was at a recent workshop with Tony Stockwell, who's for our listeners, a well-known medium, and that question came up as well. And he gave an example of having done a demonstration. There was a woman he was giving a message to about her sister who had passed, and she said, "Yes, I have a sister, but she's still here. She hasn't passed." Well, it turns out later in the day they found out that the sister had passed, and that's how quickly she came through before her living sister even knew that she had transitioned. So that was a pretty, it speaks to that can happen pretty quickly, the messages that can come through for us.
Well, Kim, that's a great example too for our listening audience. For those of us that do this work as mediums, I've also had readings where the person has not passed over, but they're in a deep medical coma, or they're suffering from severe dementia. So it's important to note that sometimes they may be in their physical body, but they might not be of sound mind, or they may be in an induced coma. So it's kind of, they're, in between both worlds at this point. So that's sometimes as mediums, we do pick up on that and, can explain, what's going on with that. So that's a great point, Kim.
Yes, I'll add to that, Mark. That happened to me actually for the first time a few weeks back, only to learn that this person was still alive. And it's like, I'm picking up a lot of information. So it's kind of even an interesting experience for the medium to have when that happens. Mm-hmm. So our question, a question that's come through is from, we'll take a question from Vivian. She said that her mother has passed away. I don't have the name, but she recently passed a few months ago, and she would like to know if she's got any messages for her. And this is Vivian.
Okay. So, wow, I'm getting a very soft energy here. So how else to explain this? But mom as being a real loving, absolute mom that just her children were her everything is what I'm getting here. I'm also getting the name Sarah, Sandra, something with a S-A to it. So I'm hoping that this connects with Vivian here. Let me just see if there's a message. Message for Vivian is, okay, sorry. The message here is get up, get out, get on with things, quit sitting on the couch. I want to see you becoming more social, is the message from this lovely mom.
Wow. Okay. Well, isn't that? That's, you know what? Moms always have great advice, don't they?
Yes.
and the advice doesn't stop once they transition, right?
Not at all.
They're still mothering from the other side. All right, Vivian, thank you so much. And I hope that these messages that have come through today offer some smile and some healing along with that as well. So it looks like, okay, there's another question from Amla. She'd like to connect with her friend Kalpin. And Kalpin was 16 years old when he or she passed. I'm not sure if it's a male or female, but Amla would love to receive a message from Kalpin.
Okay, I am receiving a male energy through with this, and I'm also seeing something with water. So there's some kind of a water connection with this gentleman here. Okay, and he wants to say that I'm feeling as though this was some kind of accident, but he wants to take responsibility for the accident that happened. So the message here is, please know that I'm okay on the other side. And this feels very sudden. So something sudden happened here. And he's just saying, we were best friends. We were best friends. And so the message here was, I'm going to meet up with you again, he's saying. And also, there's something about a love connection with this too. So he's really sending a lot of love. Yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much, Diana Lynn. And as we near the end of our show here, we do want to remind our listeners to tune in again next Wednesday as we have Renee Starr joining us to talk about chakras and the importance of chakras with relationships. Thank you so much, Diana. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Diana Lynn.
Beautiful show.
Thanks, everybody. Be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Don't forget to smile. See you next week.